23. Black celebrities who are the richest in Hollywood history. What if I told you that some of America's greatest black legends didn't just make history, they built extraordinary fortunes while doing it? From Michael Jackson, turning music ownership into a financial powerhouse, to Oprah Winfrey, building a multi-billion-dollar media empire, and Michael Jordan, transforming basketball fame into global business success. These icons understood that talent could become something much bigger. But behind the millions were risky decisions, lost fortunes, remarkable comebacks, and lessons that still matter today. Which legend do you think mastered wealth better than anyone else? Watch until the end, share your answer in the comments, and subscribe to Golden Black Legends as we uncover the incredible stories behind black success and legacy. Michael Jackson. Long before celebrity fortunes routinely reached hundreds of millions of dollars, Michael Jackson was transforming musical superstardom into something far more powerful: ownership. His journey began with the Jackson 5, but the release of Off the Wall in 1979 and especially Thriller in 1982 pushed him into a financial league occupied by very few entertainers. Thriller became the best-selling album in history, turning Jackson into a global commercial phenomenon. Yet record sales were only part of the story. Jackson understood that enormous wealth could be created by owning the music itself. In 1985, he purchased ATV Music Publishing for approximately $47.5 million. The catalog included publishing rights to a huge collection of songs, most famously many compositions written by John Lennon and Paul McCartney. The acquisition was expensive, controversial, and ultimately one of the most important business decisions of Jackson's career. In 1995, Jackson combined ATV with Sony's publishing operation, creating Sony ATV Music Publishing. The transaction reportedly brought Jackson roughly $100 million, while leaving him with a 50% stake in the joint venture. His asset also included valuable rights connected to his own recordings and Neverland Ranch, the California property he purchased in 1988. But extraordinary assets did not mean uncomplicated finances. Jackson's lavish spending, borrowing, legal expenses, and declining liquidity contributed to substantial debts during his later years. When he died in 2009, at age 50, his financial picture was complex. Valuable intellectual property existed alongside enormous obligations. What followed demonstrated the enduring economic power of his catalog. His estate generated extraordinary posthumous revenue through music licensing, entertainment projects, and intellectual property deals. Michael Jackson was therefore more than a record-breaking performer. He understood decades ago that the greatest fortune in music might not come from singing the songs, but from owning them. Oprah Winfrey. Few entertainment fortunes tell a more extraordinary story than Oprah Winfrey's. Born into poverty in rural Mississippi in 1954, Winfrey rose from local broadcasting to become one of the most influential media figures in American history. Her breakthrough came in Chicago, where her television program evolved into The Oprah Winfrey Show. Nationally syndicated beginning in 1986, it eventually became one of television's most successful daytime programs. But Oprah's financial transformation came from understanding something many performers never control: ownership. Rather than remaining simply a highly paid television host, she built Harpo Productions, allowing her company to produce her show and participate directly in the enormous business generated around it. That distinction helped transform television fame into lasting wealth. Over 25 seasons, The Oprah Winfrey Show reached millions of viewers and turned Winfrey into an international brand. Her business interests expanded into film and television production, publishing, real estate, and investments. She later launched OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network, in 2011, extending her influence beyond the program that originally made her famous. Her success eventually made her the first black woman billionaire, an extraordinary milestone in American business and entertainment. By the mid-2020s, Forbes continued estimating her fortune in the multi-billion-dollar range. Yet Oprah's wealth has also funded substantial philanthropy. She has donated heavily to education and established the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa, which opened in 2007. Her journey is especially striking because she did not inherit a media empire. She constructed one around her own voice and eventually gained control over the machinery behind it. Oprah Winfrey turned a television chair into a business empire. Her greatest financial achievement was not simply earning enormous checks, it was learning how to own the platform producing them. James Brown. At the height of his career, James Brown was not merely one of America's most electrifying performers. He was also an ambitious businessman determined to gain financial independence during an era when black musicians frequently had little control over the money their talent generated. Known as the Godfather of Soul, Brown built an extraordinary career through relentless touring. His legendary live performances combined with recordings such as Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, I Got You, I Feel Good, and Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, helped create an entertainment enterprise extending far beyond record royalties. Brown understood the importance of ownership. During his career, he invested in radio stations, including properties aimed at black audiences, and acquired real estate. He also controlled aspects of his touring operation with remarkable discipline, traveling with a large band while demanding professionalism from everyone around him. His reputation for imposing fines on musicians who missed cues became part of his legend. The transcript portrays Brown as possessing a fortune equivalent to enormous modern sums and includes a spectacular story about spending $500,000 to rent an entire luxury train from Atlanta to Miami. However, that specific anecdote is not sufficiently documented in the supplied material beyond the transcript itself, so it should not be presented as established fact. What can safely be emphasized is Brown's exceptional commercial influence and entrepreneurial ambition. His later finances became complicated by tax problems, legal disputes, and eventually years of litigation surrounding his estate after his death in 2006 at age 73. James Brown generated wealth in an industry notorious for exploiting black performers, then tried to convert fame into ownership and independence. The size of his fortune may be debated, but his determination to control his business was unmistakable. Tina Turner. Tina Turner's wealth story cannot be separated from her extraordinary reinvention. During her years performing alongside Ike Turner, she became internationally recognizable through explosive stage performances and recordings such as Proud Mary. But when their marriage ended, Tina famously walked away from much of what the couple had accumulated, prioritizing her professional name and personal freedom over a prolonged financial battle. That decision could have destroyed her career. Instead, Turner rebuilt it. After several difficult years as a solo performer, her breakthrough arrived spectacularly with 1984's Private Dancer. The album became a worldwide success, producing the chart-topping What's Love Got to Do With It and transforming Turner, already in her 40s, into an even bigger international superstar. Her subsequent tours became enormous commercial events. Turner developed especially powerful audiences throughout Europe, where she eventually settled. Her career expanded across recordings, stadium concerts, film publishing and licensing, creating substantial long-term value around her name and music. One of the clearest demonstrations of that value arrived in 2021 when Turner sold a package of music rights to BMG. The agreement covered interests connected to her recordings, publishing rights, and name and likeness. Although the official purchase price was not publicly disclosed, contemporary reports valued the transaction at approximately $50 million. The transcript contains a dramatic 1977 story claiming Turner purchased jewelry stores and distributed gold to domestic violence survivors. That claim is not independently supported by the supplied transcript and should not be repeated as verified history. Turner died in 2023 at 83. Tina Turner's greatest luxury was ultimately independence. She walked away from one life with comparatively little and built a second career valuable enough to become a global entertainment empire. Eddie Murphy. When Eddie Murphy joined Saturday Night Live in 1980, he was still a teenager. Within only a few years, he had transformed from a young stand-up comedian into one of Hollywood's most valuable stars, a rise so rapid that it permanently changed expectations for black leading men in mainstream comedy. Murphy's movie breakthrough came with 48 HRs in 1982, followed by Trading Places. Then 1984's Beverly Hills Cop became a massive blockbuster, establishing him as a genuine box office superstar. Films including Coming to America, The Nutty Professor, Dr. Dolittle, and the Shrek franchise helped sustain his earning power across several generations. At his commercial peak, Murphy commanded enormous movie salaries. For Beverly Hills Cop 3, released in 1994, he reportedly received around $15 million, while later contracts could combine upfront compensation with percentages of a film's revenue. Such arrangements offered stars something potentially more valuable than a salary-alone participation in a successful movie's financial upside. Murphy also demonstrated unusual longevity. His voice performance as Donkey in the Shrek franchise introduced him to younger audiences, while Dolomite Is My Name and Coming to America marked major later career returns. The transcript claims Murphy spent $500,000 renting Six Flags for his 19th birthday in December 1980. That story raises obvious factual concerns, including the stated birthday date, and should not be used without reliable, independent evidence. The verified career itself is impressive enough without embellishment. Eddie Murphy turned teenage comedy talent into decades of Hollywood earning power. From stand-up stages to blockbuster franchises, he built his fortune by accomplishing something extremely difficult, remaining commercially valuable long after his first explosion of fame. Diana Ross. For Diana Ross, extraordinary wealth grew from a career that successfully crossed generations. Born in Detroit in 1944, Ross became internationally famous as the lead singer of The Supremes, the Motown group behind classics, including Where Did Our Love Go, Baby Love, and Stop in the Name of Love. During the 1960s, the Supremes achieved 12 #1 singles on the Billboard Hot 100, making them one of Motown's greatest commercial successes. Ross left the group in 1970 and accomplished something many stars struggle to achieve, becoming even bigger on her own. Songs including Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Touch Me in the Morning, and Upside Down strengthened her solo career, while Lady Sings the Blues established her as an actress and earned her an Academy Award nomination. A major financial turning point arrived in 1981 when Ross left Motown and signed with RCA Records. Contemporary reports described the agreement as a multi-million-dollar deal, giving her greater control over her career at a time when such leverage was especially significant for a black female entertainer. Her earning power eventually stretched across recording royalties, television films, touring, and decades of live performances. Ross remained commercially active long after many of her contemporaries had retired, demonstrating the financial value of longevity. The supplied transcript claims Ross purchased a $3.5 million private island in the Bahamas in 1972 and later abandoned it after receiving threatening letters. Because the transcript provides no reliable sourcing for that dramatic story, it should not be treated as established fact. What requires no exaggeration is her remarkable career. Diana Ross turned Motown stardom into more than 6 decades of earning power, becoming one of the most enduring black female entertainment icons in American history. Jay-Z. Few artists demonstrate the difference between being rich and building wealth more clearly than Jay-Z. Born Sean Carter in Brooklyn in 1969, he emerged from New York's rap scene during the 1990s and released Reasonable Doubt in 1996. But music eventually became only one piece of a much larger financial machine. Rather than depending entirely on traditional record label structures, Jay-Z co-founded Rockefeller Records, giving him greater participation in the business behind his recordings. Albums such as Volume 2, Hard Knock Life, The Blueprint and The Black Album helped establish him among hip-hop's most commercially important artists. Then he diversified aggressively. Jay-Z became involved in businesses spanning fashion, entertainment, alcohol brands, technology, sports, management, and investments. He co-founded Rocawear, later selling the rights to the clothing brand for a reported $204 million in 2007. He launched Roc Nation in 2008, developing it into an entertainment company covering music management and sports. His investments became equally important. Stakes associated with companies such as Uber and Block contributed to a portfolio that extended far beyond royalties. His involvement with luxury champagne brand Armand de Brignac and cognac brand Doucet further demonstrated his strategy of connecting celebrity influence with ownership. In 2019, Forbes declared Jay-Z hip-hop's first billionaire. His fortune subsequently climbed well beyond that threshold, placing him among the wealthiest entertainers in the world. That achievement fundamentally changed the meaning of his career. Jay-Z did not simply use business to support his music, he used music as the foundation for ownership. From Brooklyn rapper to billionaire entrepreneur, his story demonstrates how intellectual property, equity, and diversification can turn fame into generational wealth. Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin built her fortune with something impossible to manufacture, a voice that became part of American cultural history. Born in Memphis and raised largely in Detroit, Franklin began singing gospel in the church of her father, Reverend C. L. Franklin, before entering professional recording as a teenager. Her defining commercial transformation came after signing with Atlantic Records in 1966. Beginning with I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You, Franklin produced a remarkable sequence of hits. Her 1967 recording of Respect became both a signature song and an anthem associated with empowerment and social change. Success brought substantial earnings from records, performances, publishing interests, and decades of touring. Franklin eventually accumulated valuable real estate, personal property, and music-related assets. Yet her relationship with money reflected the habits of an earlier entertainment era. One famous and well-documented characteristic was Franklin's preference for being paid in cash before performances. She reportedly kept the money close to the stage rather than trusting promoters to settle accounts afterward, a practice shaped partly by observing how black artists could be financially exploited. The transcript estimates her fortune at roughly $80 million in modern terms and tells a dramatic story about distributing diamond jewelry to audience members during a 1985 concert. However, that specific giveaway is not adequately substantiated by the supplied material and should not be repeated as verified history. Franklin died in 2018 at age 76, leaving behind valuable music rights and an estate that later became the subject of family legal proceedings. The Queen of Soul understood that applause could disappear when the theater emptied. Her insistence on controlling payment reflected a woman determined to ensure that her extraordinary talent produced something tangible in return. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan became wealthy by playing basketball. He became extraordinarily wealthy because his influence continued generating money long after his final NBA game. Jordan entered the NBA with the Chicago Bulls in 1984 and quickly developed into basketball's defining global superstar. 6 NBA championships, 5 regular season MVP awards, and an unprecedented combination of competitive success and worldwide popularity turned his name into a commercial force. The crucial partnership began almost immediately. Nike signed the young rookie and launched the Air Jordan line in 1985. What began as a signature basketball shoe eventually evolved into a global lifestyle business. Unlike an ordinary endorsement arrangement, Jordan received royalties tied to sales, allowing the brand's extraordinary growth to continue enriching him decades later. That proved transformative. Jordan earned roughly $94 million in NBA salary during his playing career, but his off-court earnings ultimately dwarfed that figure. Partnerships with companies including Nike, Gatorade, and Hanes helped establish a financial model that generations of athletes would attempt to follow. Ownership added another dimension. Jordan became majority owner of the Charlotte Hornets in 2010. In 2023, he sold his controlling stake in a transaction valuing the franchise at approximately $3 billion while retaining a minority interest. By then, his fortune had reached billionaire territory, demonstrating that his greatest financial victories happened away from the basketball court. Jordan did not appear in the original transcript. He is one of the stronger replacements because his wealth is far more clearly documented than several of its speculative examples. Michael Jordan turned athletic greatness into equity, royalties, and ownership. His jump shot made him famous, but the businesses built around his name made him one of the wealthiest athletes history has ever seen. Stevie Wonder. By the time most teenagers are beginning to imagine their careers, Stevie Wonder was already a professional recording star, signed by Motown while still a child. The musician-born Stavlin Judkins became Little Stevie Wonder and reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with fingertips while only 13 years old. But his most important financial transformation came when he became old enough to renegotiate his relationship with Motown. Wonder wanted more than a conventional artist contract. During the 1970s, he secured significantly greater creative control over his recordings, helping produce the extraordinary run that included Music of My Mind, Talking Book, Innervision's Fulfillingness First Finale, and Songs in the Key of Life. Those albums established both artistic independence and an enormously valuable catalog. His songwriting strengthened that financial foundation. Wonder was not merely performing material chosen for him. He was creating compositions whose value could continue through royalties, licensing covers, and repeated commercial use. In 1975, Wonder renegotiated with Motown again, in a landmark agreement widely reported at the time as one of the largest recording contracts ever offered to an artist. That bargaining power demonstrated how dramatically the former child performer had changed his position within the industry. The transcript describes a $13 million Motown contract and claims Wonder later spent $2 million creating a free recording studio for blind musicians. The contract reflects the scale commonly associated with his historic 1975 deal, but the studio anecdote requires stronger, independent documentation before being treated as fact. Decades later, Wonder's songs remain globally recognizable. His financial legacy was built not around extravagant purchases, but around something more durable, controlling his creativity and creating music valuable enough to keep earning long after its original release. Ray Charles. For Ray Charles, wealth was built through something more valuable than simply selling records, gaining control over the business behind his music. Born in Georgia in 1930, Charles lost his sight during childhood, yet that obstacle never prevented him from becoming one of the architects of modern American popular music. His breakthrough accelerated during the 1950s at Atlantic Records, where recordings such as What Did I Say helped blend gospel blues, jazz, and rhythm and blues into the emerging sound of soul. By the end of the decade, Charles had enough commercial power to negotiate an unusually favorable deal with ABC Paramount. The agreement gave him financial terms and artistic freedoms rarely available to black performers at the time. Even more importantly, Charles eventually gained ownership of his master recordings, creating long-term value that extended beyond ordinary performance income. Success followed with classics, including Georgia on My Mind, Hit the Road, Jack and I Can't Stop Loving You. Charles also established Tangerine Records and built RPM International, his Los Angeles recording complex, expanding his position from performer to businessman. The original transcript claims Charles purchased a Las Vegas casino in 1974 for $8 million and later lost millions gambling there. That dramatic story is not adequately supported by the supplied material and should not be presented as established fact. Charles died in 2004 at age 73, leaving an extraordinary musical legacy and valuable intellectual property. Ray Charles understood that earning money from a hit was temporary, but controlling the music could create value for decades. For a black artist working in an often exploitative industry, that level of ownership was itself a remarkable victory. Beyoncé, Knowles Carter, represents a newer generation of black entertainment wealth, one in which music, touring, ownership, branding, and business operate together. Her journey began with Destiny's Child, but after launching her solo career with Dangerously in Love in 2003, Beyoncé steadily transformed herself from superstar performer into a powerful commercial enterprise. Albums including B-Day 4, Lemonade, Renaissance, and Cowboy Carter expanded both her audience and artistic control. Yet some of her greatest financial achievements happened on the road. Her Renaissance World Tour became one of the highest-grossing tours by a female artist, generating nearly $580 million in reported ticket sales across 56 shows in 2023. The achievement demonstrated how dramatically stadium touring could amplify the value of a global music catalog. Beyoncé also built Parkwood Entertainment, the company through which she developed music films, live productions, and other projects. That structure gave her greater influence over the creative and commercial machinery surrounding her work. Her business portfolio expanded through fashion partnerships, investments, and ventures such as haircare brand Sacred and whiskey brand Sir Davis. Combined with music rights and touring revenue, these activities pushed her personal fortune into extraordinary territory. Unlike several figures in the original transcript, Beyoncé is a replacement chosen because the case for her inclusion under Richest Black Legends can be supported by substantial modern financial reporting rather than sensational anecdotes. Still, the most important transformation is larger than any single number. Beyoncé progressed from being paid to perform songs into controlling companies' productions and intellectual property surrounding her name. Her career demonstrates how modern artists can convert cultural influence into lasting ownership and potentially generational wealth. Sam Cooke. When Sam Cooke became a crossover superstar during the late 1950s, black performers frequently generated enormous profits without receiving comparable financial control. Cooke recognized that imbalance and began attempting to change it. After establishing himself with the gospel group, the Soul Stirrers, Cooke moved into popular music. His 1957 recording You Sent Me became a #1 hit, launching a remarkable run that eventually included Wonderful World, Chain Gang, Cupid, Twistin' the Night Away, and A Change Is Gonna Come. But Cooke wanted more than applause. I became increasingly involved in songwriting, publishing, management, and record production. In 1961, he co-founded SAR Records, creating opportunities for artists including the Valentinos and Johnny Taylor. Cooke also established publishing interests, recognizing that songwriting ownership could produce income long after a performance ended. That entrepreneurial instinct was especially significant during an era when discriminatory contracts and accounting practices often prevented black musicians from sharing fairly in the wealth they created. The transcript makes several dramatic financial claims, including that Cooke earned $2 million annually by 1963, owned approximately $15 million in modern equivalent assets, and kept $200,000 in cash inside a hidden safe. Those precise figures are not sufficiently substantiated by the transcript itself and should therefore not be repeated as verified facts. Cooke's life ended tragically in December 1964 when he was only 33. Yet his business vision remains central to his legacy. Sam Cooke understood unusually early that black artists needed more than successful records. They needed ownership. His efforts to control publishing, production, and record-making helped point toward a future in which performers could become entrepreneurs instead of merely supplying talent to someone else's empire. Magic Johnson. When Ervin Magic Johnson entered the NBA in 1979, basketball was the foundation of his fame, but it would eventually become only the opening chapter of his financial story. With the Los Angeles Lakers, Johnson won 5 NBA championships, earned 3 regular season MVP awards, and became one of basketball's defining stars. Yet his playing salary alone cannot explain the enormous fortune he later accumulated. After stepping away from basketball, Johnson concentrated on business ownership. Through Magic Johnson Enterprises, he pursued investments designed partly around underserved urban communities. One of his best-known strategies involved partnering with major companies and demonstrating the purchasing power of Black and Latino consumers. His ventures included movie theaters, developed with Sony Starbucks locations, real estate, food service businesses, and other investments. Johnson eventually sold major holdings, including his interests in Starbucks stores, while continuing to diversify. Sports ownership became another important pillar. Johnson joined investment groups connected with the Los Angeles Dodgers, Los Angeles Sparks, Los Angeles FC, and Washington Commanders, giving him equity interests across multiple major sports organizations. His portfolio eventually expanded far beyond the public image of a retired basketball superstar. By 2023, Forbes estimated Johnson's net worth had reached approximately $1.2 billion, making him one of the relatively small number of athletes to achieve billionaire status. Johnson's story is especially powerful because he recognized that fame could open doors, but ownership determined what remained after the applause disappeared. Magic Johnson turned championship celebrity into a decades-long business career. Basketball made his name recognizable around the world. Investments, partnerships, and equity transformed that name into a billion-dollar financial legacy. Richard Pryor. Before Richard Pryor became one of America's most influential comedians, the idea that stand-up could generate Hollywood-level wealth was far from established. Born in Peoria, Illinois in 1940, Pryor built his reputation through clubs and television before abandoning safer material for the raw personal storytelling that ultimately transformed his career. By the 1970s, Pryor's comedy albums sold out performances. Writing and film roles had made him a major entertainment force. Movies including Silver Streak, Blue Collar, and Stir Crazy expanded his earning power far beyond the comedy circuit. His financial breakthrough became particularly visible in 1983, when Pryor signed a highly publicized agreement with Columbia Pictures, reportedly worth around $40 million over 5 years. The arrangement demonstrated just how valuable a black comedian could become to a major Hollywood studio. Pryor also created Indigo Productions, seeking greater participation in the films built around his talent. At various points, his movie salaries reached several $1 million exceptional compensation during that era. Yet wealth did not make his life stable. Pryor struggled with substance abuse, personal turmoil, tax difficulties, and serious health problems. The original transcript even claims he once spent $2 million in a single night in Las Vegas, but it provides no reliable evidence supporting that sensational figure. Pryor died in 2005 at 65. His financial importance remains undeniable. Richard Pryor helped prove that stand-up comedy could become enormous business. More importantly, his success helped expand Hollywood's understanding of what a black comedian could command, not merely creatively but financially. Berry Gordy. Few people on this list demonstrate the power of ownership better than Berry Gordy. He was not simply a performer collecting royalties. He built the company that helped turn Black American music into an international commercial phenomenon. Born in Detroit in 1929, Gordy worked several jobs before pursuing songwriting. In 1959, using an $800 family loan, he established Tamla Records. That enterprise soon became part of Motown, the legendary company that would develop or promote an extraordinary generation of performers. The Supremes, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye. The Temptations, Smokey Robinson, and the Miracles and the Jackson 5 were among the artists whose music helped make Motown a cultural powerhouse. Gordy's genius involved combining musical instinct with disciplined business organization. Motown developed songwriting, production, choreography, artist development and marketing systems, capable of taking young performers from Detroit and presenting them to mainstream America. For a black-owned company operating during the civil rights era, the scale of that achievement was extraordinary. Motown eventually expanded beyond records into television and film. In 1988, Gordy sold Motown Records to MCA and Boston Ventures for approximately $61 million. Several years later, the Jobet publishing catalog associated with Motown generated another major financial transaction when EMI acquired substantial interests in it. Gordy therefore belongs in this story for reasons stronger than speculative net worth estimates. His wealth came from building and owning valuable intellectual property. Berry Gordy started with an $800 family loan and created one of the most important black-owned entertainment enterprises of the 20th century. Motown did more than make him wealthy. It changed American culture while proving that black creativity could also produce black business power. Marvin Gaye created some of Motown's most valuable and enduring music, yet his financial life became a painful example of how enormous earning power does not always produce lasting wealth. Born in Washington, D.C. in 1939, Gaye joined Motown during the early 1960s. Songs such as How Sweet It Is I Heard It, Through the Grapevine, and his recordings with Tammy Terrell established him as a major star. Then came 1971's What's Going On, an ambitious album addressing war, poverty, environmental damage, and social injustice. Commercial success gave Gaye increasing leverage. His later work included Let's Get It On and Sexual Healing, expanding a catalog that would remain commercially valuable long after his lifetime. But behind the music, Gaye's finances became increasingly unstable. His divorce from Anna Gordy Gaye famously influenced the 1978 album Here My Dear, while tax obligations, personal difficulties, and substance abuse contributed to serious financial pressure. The original transcript describes a fortune equivalent to approximately $75 million today and claims Gaye owned a gold-plated Rolls-Royce before later owing millions in taxes. Those precise claims should be treated cautiously because the supplied transcript does not establish reliable sourcing for them. Seeking a new beginning, Gaye spent time in Europe and experienced a major comeback with Sexual Healing in 1982. Tragically, he was killed by his father on April 1, 1984, one day before his 45th birthday. His music continued generating value afterward. Marvin Gaye's story reveals the complicated side of celebrity wealth. A man could create recordings worth millions across generations while personally experiencing severe financial instability. His greatest fortune ultimately became the music itself. Sidney Poitier. When Sidney Poitier became one of Hollywood's most important leading men, he was operating within an industry that offered black actors remarkably few substantial roles. His rise therefore represented not only artistic achievement but increasing economic power in a business where black performers had historically possessed little leverage. Born in Miami in 1927 and raised largely in the Bahamas, Poitier eventually moved to New York and pursued acting. By the 1950s, films including Blackboard Jungle and The Defiant Ones had established him as a major dramatic performer. Then came history. For Lilies of the Field, Poitier won the Academy Award for Best Actor in 1964, becoming the first black performer to win the competitive Oscar in that category. His commercial power continued growing, culminating in an extraordinary 1967 run that included Two Sir, With Love in the Heat of the Night, and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Poitier later expanded beyond acting into directing and producing. Films such as Uptown Saturday Night and Stir Crazy demonstrated that his influence could operate behind the camera as well. The transcript estimates his wealth at around $50 million and tells a dramatic story claiming he bought a $5 million yacht in 1973 and used it to provide free Caribbean cruises for disadvantaged children. The supplied material does not provide adequate evidence for that specific anecdote, so it should not be repeated as verified history. Poitier died in 2022 at age 94. Sidney Poitier's real financial achievement was larger than luxury possessions. He became a bankable black leading man when Hollywood rarely allowed one to exist, then converted that influence into directing, producing, and decades of professional independence. Smokey Robinson. For Smokey Robinson, wealth was built slowly through songwriting, performance, executive leadership, and one of the most valuable musical legacies to emerge from Detroit. Born in 1940, Robinson became the unmistakable voice of the Miracles, whose early success helped establish Motown as a serious force in American music. Songs including Shop Around, You've Really Got a Hold on Me, and The Tracks of My Tears turned Robinson into a star. But his financial importance extended far beyond his own recordings. He wrote or co-wrote material for other Motown artists, including The Temptations' My Girl, creating a songwriting catalog capable of generating royalties across generations. Berry Gordy also trusted Robinson on the business side. Robinson eventually became vice president of Motown, placing him inside the company that was transforming black popular music into international commerce. After leaving the Miracles in the 1970s, he developed a successful solo career. Cruisin' and Being With You demonstrated his ability to remain commercially relevant while his earlier compositions continued finding new listeners. The transcript estimates Robinson's fortune at roughly $45 million and claims that in 1976 he purchased a $1 million theater in Detroit where black performers could appear without charge. However, the supplied transcript does not provide sufficient evidence to verify that specific purchase, so it should not be presented as established history. Robinson's strongest financial story requires no extravagant anecdote. For more than 6 decades, Smokey Robinson benefited from something remarkably durable. Songs people continued performing, licensing, recording, and buying. His voice created fame, but songwriting gave his career an economic life capable of surviving long after the original records left the charts. Chaka Khan. Few voices from the funk and R&B era are as instantly recognizable as Chaka Khan's. Born Yvette Marie Stevens in Chicago in 1953, Khan became internationally famous during the 1970s as the powerhouse lead vocalist of Rufus, beginning a career that would eventually stretch across more than 5 decades. The group's breakthrough came with Tell Me Something Good, written by Stevie Wonder. The recording became a major hit and earned Rufus a Grammy Award. Other successes followed, including Sweet Thing and Do You Love What You Feel, establishing Khan as one of her generation's most formidable singers. Her solo career opened another financial chapter. In 1978, I'm Every Woman became a defining anthem. Then in 1984, Khan transformed Prince's I Feel For You into a crossover phenomenon, reaching audiences across R&B, pop, dance, and hip-hop culture. Across her career, Khan accumulated 10 Grammy Awards, while recordings, touring, licensing, and decades of performances created continuing earning power. Her catalog also gained new commercial life through covers and sampling. The transcript claims Khan possessed approximately $40 million in modern equivalent wealth during her peak and spent $2 million renting a gold-painted airship to promote a 1984 album. That spectacular claim is not adequately documented in the supplied material and should not be treated as verified fact. The genuine accomplishments are compelling enough. Chaka Khan built wealth through longevity rather than one sensational payday. From Rufus to international solo stardom, her voice remained commercially valuable across changing musical eras, proving that a truly distinctive sound can become an asset lasting generations. Isaac Hayes. When Isaac Hayes released the soundtrack to Shaft in 1971, he was already an accomplished songwriter and producer. What followed, however, transformed him into one of the most recognizable black musicians in America and demonstrated how songwriting, recording, film, and entrepreneurship could intersect. Before becoming a solo superstar, Hayes worked closely with Stax Records in Memphis, Alongside David Porter, he helped write classics, including Sam and Dave's Soul Man and Hold On I'm Comin'. That songwriting foundation gave Hayes a commercial identity before his deep voice and elaborate arrangements made him famous as a performer. Then came Shaft. Its theme became an enormous success, and Hayes won the Academy Award for Best Original Song in 1972, becoming the first black composer to win an Oscar in that category. The achievement dramatically expanded his profile. Hayes enjoyed the rewards of success, becoming famous for flamboyant clothing and customized vehicles. But his financial story also contained serious reversals. When Stax encountered severe financial problems during the 1970s, Hayes experienced difficulties of his own and ultimately filed for bankruptcy. That makes the transcript's extravagant wealth anecdotes especially important to treat carefully. It claims Hayes bought a $3 million Memphis movie theater and provided free screenings for black children, but the supplied text does not establish reliable evidence for that specific story. Hayes later rebuilt his public career through music, acting, voice work, and other ventures before dying in 2008 at age 65. Isaac Hayes experienced both extraordinary success and painful financial collapse. His journey reminds us that celebrity wealth can disappear, but intellectual and cultural influence can survive long after the money changes hands. Patti LaBelle. Patti LaBelle spent decades transforming an extraordinary voice into one of the longest careers in American R&B. Born Patricia Holte in Philadelphia in 1944, she first achieved national recognition with Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells before reaching another level during the 1970s with LaBelle. The group's defining moment came with Lady Marmalade, which reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1975. After LaBelle separated, Patti built a solo career rather than allowing the group's ending to diminish her earning potential. Her persistence paid off. Albums, concerts, television appearances, acting roles, and songs, including New Attitude and On My Own, kept her visible through changing musical eras. But LaBelle eventually discovered another way to commercialize something audiences already associated with her food. Her reputation as an enthusiastic cook developed into cookbooks and branded food products. The phenomenon reached another level when Patti LaBelle's sweet potato pie sold through Walmart became a viral sensation in 2015. Demand surged dramatically after singer James Wright Chanel posted an enthusiastic online review, bringing LaBelle's business ventures to an entirely new audience. The original transcript instead tells a story about LaBelle supposedly buying a $2 million Philadelphia restaurant in 1986 and serving free meals every Sunday. That claim is not adequately supported by the supplied source and should not be treated as verified. Her real business evolution is more interesting. Patti LaBelle turned a career that began with vocal harmony into a multi-generational personal brand. Music created her celebrity, but television, publishing, touring, and food products demonstrated how a beloved entertainer could keep transforming recognition into new sources of income. Red Fox. At the height of Sanford and Son, Red Fox was one of television's most recognizable comedians. Yet his story offers a dramatic warning about the difference between earning a fortune and keeping one. Born John Elroy Sanford in St. Louis in 1922, Fox spent years performing in clubs before becoming famous for his provocative comedy albums. His breakthrough into mainstream television arrived in 1972 when NBC premiered Sanford and Son. Playing junk dealer Fred G. Sanford, Fox became the centerpiece of a hugely popular sitcom and helped open television doors for black comedians who followed. Success gave him substantial negotiating power. During a contract dispute, Fox temporarily left the series, eventually returning after securing improved terms. At his peak, he was reportedly among television's better-paid performers, but enormous income was accompanied by serious financial problems. Fox experienced expensive divorces, business difficulties, and major tax debts. In 1989, the IRS seized property from his Las Vegas home as part of efforts to collect millions of dollars in unpaid federal taxes. His financial condition was therefore dramatically different from the carefree, millionaire image audiences might have expected. The transcript claims Fox once spent $1 million in a single weekend entertaining friends in Las Vegas. Without stronger evidence, that anecdote should not be presented as fact. Fox died in 1991 at age 68 after collapsing while working on the royal family. Red Fox earned extraordinary money for a black comedian of his era, yet much of it disappeared. His story belongs in any discussion of celebrity wealth because it reveals the other side of fortune. Making millions does not guarantee financial security. From Michael Jackson's billion-dollar musical legacy and Oprah Winfrey's media empire to Michael Jordan's revolutionary business success, these stories prove that black excellence has created extraordinary wealth across generations. Yet money never guaranteed an easy life. Some built fortunes through ownership and smart investments, while others watched millions disappear through debt, taxes, personal struggles, or bad decisions. Their journeys leave us with one fascinating question: which black legend built the most impressive fortune, and whose financial story surprised you the most? Tell us what you think in the comments, and if there's a legend we should have included, name them below. Subscribe to Golden Black Legends for more unforgettable stories celebrating black success, history, and legacy.